Hey everyone, this is Mason Hutchinson. Welcome back to Herb Rally, your daily herbal podcast. We come out with new episodes about 5 days a week, so please tune in often. Our goal for the show is to help you along your herbalist journey no matter what stage you're at. We have over 500 episodes on the podcast, so feel free to peruse those episodes and you're bound to find something of interest. Today's episode is a snippet of a class from our Herb Rally Schoolhouse. And the Herb Rally Schoolhouse is our membership area, and it is only $10 a month. And with that, you get exclusive content. So each week we publish new classes, new video classes. We're actually going to start releasing monographs on there in the new year. And this episode, it's a snippet of Missy Rose's class called Meet Lobelia. So just a little warning as well. Before talking about Lobelia, Missy wants to stress that Lobelia should only be taken in small doses. Always listen to your body when taking Lobelia, and make sure to label your product different from the rest so it sticks out, as it is easily recognizable. I was always taught Lobelia is a drop dosage herb. You're definitely going to want to really know what you're doing with Lobelia, so please heed these cautions. And for the full class, if you'd like to check out the Herb Rally Schoolhouse, you could enter coupon code podcast at checkout. That'll get you your first 30 days for free of the Herb Rally Schoolhouse. And like I said, it's only $10 a month after that, and it is one of the best ways that you can help support our work here at Herb Rally. If you've been getting a lot of value from Herb Rally over the years and you'd like to give back, becoming a member is a great way to do that. You could kind of think of it as like a Patreon patron support page or something like that. But yeah, we come out with new classes each week, and there's discounts to cool herbal companies, a private Facebook group, and we're just excited because we keep updating it and improving it every week, as I mentioned. So without further ado, enjoy this snippet from Missy Rose Lobelia class. Talk to you soon. A little bit of housekeeping before we get into the show. The content in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to cure, diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease. This information has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. We are not doctors, nor do we play one on the internet. Please seek advice from a qualified healthcare professional. Okay, MC Calico, take it away.
Yeah. Smoking herbal blends. We need some mullein and some kush, my brethren. While listening to Herb Rally podcast again. Herbalism at its finest with Mason Hutchinson. Yeah.
I'd love to talk about Lobelia, which is a hard plant to talk about because it's a low-dose botanical. And so I really want to, throughout this whole time talking about Lobelia, just stress over and over again that it's something that should only be taken in very small doses. Typically, I take Lobelia in doses of 1 to 5 drops. And different batches of Lobelia probably will be different strengths. Different people will need different doses. So you should figure out for yourself what works best for you and people you're working with. However, I do just want to stress that Lobelia is a low-dose botanical and should be approached with caution and respect. So, a little bit about Lobelia. Its Latin name is Lobelia inflata. And it's named Lobelia inflata because it has these inflated seed pods. The seed pods look like little tiny balloons on the plant when they're mature. And Lobelia is related to some garden ornamentals. If you've ever gone and gotten some little cute fillers for your garden, you might be like, oh, Lobelia, I totally know what Lobelia looks like. Promise, Lobelia inflata was not what you purchased for your garden ornamentals, but it's still a pretty cool plant. It is herbaceous, tends to be on the shorter side, and it's an annual in our area. I'm in the Portland, Oregon area, so we've got a relatively mild climate, but we still sometimes see snow and such. And Lobelia is harvested at the point of the year, which is usually late summer, when it has both flowers on it and some maturing seed pods that are inflated. So at that point, when you have both flowers and maturing seed pods on your plant, you would harvest all of the aerial parts, and you would do so in a really cautious way. And with low dose plants like Lobelia, I really encourage folks when they're harvesting, even when it's from their own garden, to only focus on that one plant during that time span, not to be like harvesting some lobelia and harvesting some borage and harvesting some Queen Anne's lace or something, but really focus on just that one plant that day. And with lobelia in particular, especially if you're pretty sensitive, I would really encourage the use of gloves. Probably some disposable gloves, like ones that you would use in food preparation. Because lobelia is a very powerful plant, and I've seen people who are working with it with bare hands get super nauseous and lightheaded. So we can absorb all kinds of things through our skin. It's just a matter of quantity with stuff like that. And for folks who are working with low-dose medicines, and especially when they're super sensitive people, that quantity doesn't have to be very much to be noticed in your system. So with lobelia, focus on that one plant when you're harvesting it, and do go ahead and wear gloves unless you have, some reason to think that you can do otherwise. And if you can, make sure that you clean any of your processing tools and harvesting tools 2 times after working with a low-dose plant like lobelia, because we really want to make sure that we don't cross-contaminate, say, our borage harvest with lobelia on our clippers or something. Because lobelia being a very strong low-dose plant, it only takes a little bit to make a batch of some other kind of medicine have some lobelia-like effects. And with lobelia, we want to be very sure that we're only using it in the instances which it's called for. So we'll clean our equipment 2 different times after using it when we're harvesting lobelia, or even have a separate set of equipment that we only use with low-dose plants that we clean really thoroughly every single time we use them. And so I'll harvest all of those aerial above ground parts of lobelia when they're in flower and seed together, and then I'll go ahead and chop them up and make them into a fresh plant tincture. And with lobelia, I would say that it's especially useful to use it as a fresh plant tincture rather than any other format like teas or syrup or anything like that, because of a few different reasons. One is that when we're working with low-dose plants, we really want to be able to control the dosage. Whether the proper dosage is 1 drops or 4 drops or 8 drops, we want to know exactly how much each person is getting so that we can dial it down or dial it up as needed. And then also, specifically with lobelia, it works best fresh. If you dry it and you take it as tea, even if you're measuring it out really thoroughly and stuff, a lot of people experience it as pretty much only being nauseating and not having any of its other really useful effects, which we'll get to shortly. So I definitely want to stress that working with lobelia fresh is the way to go. And that working with it, in a very measured way, as opposed to using a folk method of making a tincture, is going to be useful when it comes to a low-dose plant. So I'll take that fresh plant, I'll chop it up, I'll weigh it out so that I know exactly how much I'm making, and then I'll use a ratio method, a weight to volume method for making the fresh plant tincture. And since it's a low-dose medicine, I will measure it out at 1 part by weight of fresh herb to 4 parts by volume of menstruum. And so with that measurement, I'll be making sure that the resulting tincture is strong, but that it's not too strong and that it's reasonably strong enough that we can measure it up or down to where we need that level to be. So we'll chop it up fresh. We'll make a fresh plant tincture using a weight to volume method. If you're not familiar with that, I'm sure there are some Herb Rally resources that you can check out to find out how exactly to make a weight to volume tincture. And you can go ahead and with this menstruum for this particular plant, we have a pretty unique situation because with most plants, we're trying to figure out a menstruum that is the appropriate amount of alcohol and the appropriate amount of water to make just the right menstruum for that tincture. And so with something aromatic like Western red cedar, we might do a high alcohol tincture like 80% or full strength alcohol to capture those aromatics. With something that's mucilaginous and full of carbohydrates like marshmallow, we might use the lowest possible menstruum alcohol level in our menstruum, like 40% alcohol, so that we get plenty of slimy mucilage in our tincture. With Lobelia, we actually want to use a combination of alcohol and some apple cider vinegar to make sure that we extract some of the lobeline, some of the alkaloids from Lobelia. With most plants that have alkaloids, we're not too concerned about having an acidic menstruum, but with Lobelia, it's super helpful to have that acidic menstruum to extract the lobeline. So what I'll usually do is I'll add somewhere between 5 to 25% apple cider vinegar to my full strength alcohol, and then use that as the menstruum. So it'll usually end up being about 95% alcohol and 5% apple cider vinegar, or maybe as low as 75% alcohol and 25% apple cider vinegar. But anywhere in that range will be a really useful and helpful Lobelia tincture.
And that's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the Herb Rally podcast. If you'd like to hear more from us here at Herb Rally, we now have a text message community, believe it or not. Basically, it's just updates from us. We send about 1 to 7 texts per week, notifying you about new events, videos, courses, podcasts. You get the idea. It's pretty much like our email newsletter, just in text form. So if you'd like to receive text messages from Herb Rally, just text JOIN, that's JOIN, to the number 541-256-2895. Again, that's JOIN to number 541-256-2895. And to stop receiving texts, that's easy too. Just text STOP to the same number. It'll opt you out immediately. Okay, thanks again for listening. Have a great rest of your day.